Welcome back to Ones to Watch on Footy Accumulators, powered by our friends at the Football Index, which is the stock market for buying and selling shares in players. I'm joined, as always, by my dear friend, Sir Alan McInally.
Thank you, Emma.
Cheers for joining us, Al.
Welcome.
Now then, this week we're going to do things slightly differently as we look back and reflect on a few of the players that we've discussed before on Ones to Watch. And the first one that we're going to have a look at is a certain Memphis Depay. 14 goals in 18 games before his ACL injury, which seemed to happen just at the same time we were talking about it.
Listen, I thought he was a good one prior when we put him on our portfolio, and he goes and gets injured, having done such a brilliant job. You know, he left Manchester United and seemed to get his form back, and he was certainly one that was going in the right direction for Football Index. And then, like you said, 14 goals in 18 games is pretty good, and he was again one of the top players in Europe.
Absolutely, yeah. 5 goals in 5 Champions League games, and we can have a look now at this graphic.
Well, that's a nice problem to have, scoring goals outside the box. And if you look at the screen as well, like Messi. I mean, for goodness sake. But then, what a team to be in! Coutinho and Reece Mertens and Mahrez and Suso, etc., etc. So he was in a brilliant position for sure. Second to Messi at any time is pretty good. And the only thing is, obviously, he's probably still unlikely to return for the Euros. The ACL is a bad injury to get. It's probably going to be towards next year, but he's certainly one that I still think is a long-term project. Being only 25 years old, he's still in a position, having left Manchester United, that he may, with that kind of form, end up somewhere else or even back in England.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because his Football Index price has been rising recently.
Right. Even though he's injured.
Yeah, and weirdly, his price has risen by more than 40p since his initial dip following his injury. So it just shows the nature of Football Index and how it peaks and troughs, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And people are still looking at the media potential. We talk about media dividends, don't we, in Football Index. But the potential at 25, he's hopefully going to be back full fit. And if he retains the form that he had prior to the injury, then there's no reason for him not to end up somewhere with his, with the potential that Memphis Depay has.
Definitely. Where could you see him fitting in? Which Premier League team when he's back in full fitness?
Well, I wrote a couple of things down at Man United. Could he go back to Manchester United? Maybe not that. I mean, he could start. He's a starter for Man United if he's there at the moment. That's not the case. Does he improve Chelsea? I think so. Pedri and Willian might not be there. Pulisic. I don't know if they'd be in a position that they can bring him back, Chelsea, but, they might be certainly thinking about it. Ozil leaving in the summer for Arsenal. I don't know if it would change in their style of play, but I think he gets in their team, because I thought they were really poor last week.
Against Burnley.
And against Burnley. And the problem is, Arteta's got a really big job there and wants to bring in players that will have an immediate effect. Man City, it's difficult to get into the Man City team. Sané probably leaving in the summer when he gets back to full fitness, he having had the same injury. Maybe. I think Spurs would take him in a heartbeat. I genuinely
in their current
do.
situation.
Yeah, I really do. Kane's obviously injured. He could be back, obviously, for the start of next season. But there's a few imponderables there that I can see him going into the Spurs team to help them big time. So there's certainly 4 or 5 English teams that might be thinking about, he did okay at Man United, but maybe didn't fulfil his potential. I think we'll take a punt on him, because what he's done abroad has been fantastic. Yeah,
big teams as well.
Yeah.
Well, Depay was £4.65 when we last spoke about him. He's now around the £4.38 mark, which just goes to show the long-term nature of Football Index, with Depay's price rising back to the initial price we discussed as he gets closer to fitness. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Perfect.
Right then.
Everything you say makes sense.
Well, thank you very much, Al. You charmer. Right, the second player that we're going to recap is Wilfried Zaha. Now, 27 years of age, and apparently a target for Chelsea in the January transfer window, didn't come off. What are your thoughts on him, Al?
I like him a lot. I don't, do I? Because I gave him a hard time.
It's not like you, to be honest.
Well, I know, but listen, the boy is different. I mean, it didn't work out for him at Manchester United for, I think, probably a few personal reasons regarding, or even football reasons. I just think Zaha is still one to have on your side. I think I watch him and I'm like, I like him. I do. The reason I said I didn't like him was really I had a go at him, because he was like, I'm getting kicked. I'm being fouled all the time. I'm like, well, dust yourself down and get on with it. You're a big boy, making big money. It's not a little boy's game, Premier League football. You need to be a man and stand up to the stick he's going to get, and almost take it as a compliment when somebody wants to, well, not to kick you, but the likes of Messi and Ronaldo, etc., etc. They're not giving it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so he needs to really.
If you're going to play the game, you've got to be able to tolerate that kind of stuff.
And I do genuinely think, I don't think he'll be at Crystal Palace next year.
Really?
No, I don't. I don't think so. I think him going back there was good for himself, great for Crystal Palace. He handed a transfer request in the summer, so he did want to leave. There was a compromise, or did somebody come in and buy him? No, they never.
Yeah.
So again, the cost would be something that Zaha is, and he already carries a little bit of baggage by being not unreliable, but his stats have not been brilliant at Crystal Palace, I don't think.
Yeah, well, they haven't been particularly brilliant. 24 Premier League games for Palace, 3 goals, 4 assists. So when you're looking at that, it isn't really the best, is it?
No, and we've got a graph. You take us into the graphic then with.
Well, yeah, because you have a look. There's sort of comparisons there with kind of saying, is he going to end up kind of like a Walcott player? 19 Premier League games for Everton, 1 goal, 1 assist.
He doesn't want to be like that for sure. I think Sam Allardyce paid the guts of 15 and a bit more million for Walcott. He scored a goal last season and his stats have been poor. I don't think Ancelotti will tolerate that kind of performance from Walcott. Now, Zaha doesn't want to be like that. I think Zaha is better. I think he's more reliable. And I think there'll be a lot of clubs still interested in Wilfried Zaha.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is, if you're a manager or if you're a scout and you're looking, then you're going to look at the stats, aren't you? And,
and a lot of players
how much do you pay for him?
How much would you pay for Wilfried Zaha?
Not a lot, based on those stats.
You don't like him either?
Well, not that I don't like him.
No,
I'm sure he's a nice guy. But when you're looking at those stats and you go, well, how do you base someone's worth being above and beyond when you've got 3 goals and 4 assists?
I'm going to say minimum 45, 50 million for Zaha. I think he still has potential. Certainly when we talk about media dividend and football index, about players you're looking at that might be on the rise. If I'm saying he's leaving Crystal Palace, he's not going to go to Burnley with the greatest respect. He's not going to go to Sheffield United. He's probably not going to go to my old team, Aston Villa.
He's going to be aiming for one of the big...
He might even end up in another team in London.
Yeah.
He could... Man United's probably done and dusted for him. But you just never know. But I think Crystal Palace are not going to sell him for 32 million. You're talking 50 million. And I genuinely think he still has something. I think if you played Zaha in a really good team, a genuinely good team, that raises not necessarily his profile, but his performances and gets a kick in the bottom that he needs to be around with the better players, he'll need to dust himself down and say, this is my opportunity to prove that the Man United thing just didn't work out.
To be fair though, Al, I feel like the position he's in now should be his opportunity to prove himself if he's looking for a big move.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's been difficult for him at Crystal Palace to try and get his stats up. I do think he should be better because did you say 3 goals for me from Wilfried Zaha is not enough. Whether he's doing more work defensively because Crystal Palace are trying not to concede goals, and by the time he gets it, he's used a lot of energy and it's not enough going forward. He's a really good football player, Wilfried Zaha. I like him. If I was a manager in the summer, I'd be like, yeah, I'll take him. I will.
45 mil.
Yeah, 45, 50 mil, I think. But remember, Crystal Palace are not going to let him go for nothing.
Exactly. No, you're right.
But you still have to have a mentality for the manager of another team by saying, does he make my team better? I think he would. Has he got a goal in him? I think he does in good thing. And can we have him going that way instead of that way? Yeah. I think that would make a big difference for him. He's got a little bit about him. And I haven't heard him complain this year about getting kicked. So maybe he's maturing a little bit, and I think he's be worth a punt. I really do.
Maybe he listened to you having words with him, didn't he?
Maybe.
Now, when we last spoke about Zaha, he was at £2.35 ahead of a potential move in January. Now, that's dipped with him staying at Crystal Palace, but you can see how much of an impact the transfer window does have on his price, can't you?
Sure.
Now, if you haven't used Football Index yet and you do fancy giving it a try, but you're not enjoying it within the first 7 days, you can instant sell your shares and email them to have your losses refunded of up to £500. And remember, you've got to be over 18 to use Football Index, and please always make sure you're using it responsibly.